which is buyers on the sidelines, sellers not necessarily wanting to sell and give up their interest rates, being a little worried about where they're going to go to next. And so just not a lot of inventory out there, which is sort of, traffic jamming everything, right? There's not a lot of transactions to go around. So with that, again, there's going to have to be probably some different approaches taken if you want to try to keep your business near, where your goals were at, or just accept that it may be different this year than what you had planned, and some of that just being market forces.
Make sure that I'm the go-to agent that they're going to, I don't want them to go somewhere else. So that's something I got to keep working at and hopefully perfect, and we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I would just keep following up with them on that. And again, like you're doing, see where their pain points are at, right? If it's the right time for them, they're going to do it. If it's not, the approach that you're taking is good. You don't want to be too pushy. You don't want to come up across as that person that doesn't have their best interest in mind, right? It'd be held against you. It just doesn't make for good business long term, right? So keep taking the approach, be there. I would say the lesson that we learned is, again, we had a seller sort of like that in our community, and we ended up not getting the listing. And we asked them for feedback. And on that one, it was, hey, it was great that you're giving me my space like I asked for. But once every 3 months reaching out was too little. We had someone that was in our face within a 1 month period. And just because he was there, like, we went with him.
Recording in progress.
And we're like, well, that's great. Like, we helped your mom get a rental in the community. Like, we've been talking for a couple of years, but the reality is sellers and people in general don't necessarily have a ton of loyalty, right? So it's what's convenient for them, what's in their best interest at that time, and so if you're not in front of them, if you're not staying in touch, they might just go with someone else. So I would say, based upon that feedback, probably no less than once per month, touching base, seeing where their pain points are at, if they still want to wait, and you just can constantly reassure them each time that you do that reach out, right? Like, hey, I'm not pushing. I just want to make sure I'm here when you're ready. Just make sure that it's either on the MLS or you have a setup in place for compensation. If not, and you don't get compensated for the rental deals, that can still turn into business, but just ask for referrals. So
absolutely. I've never had a rental client before where I'd done a transaction, so I might have some questions during the time.
Sure. No worries.
You can call me, Ryan. I'll help you.
Okay, thank you, Janetta.
Thanks.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Yeah, and so on that note, real quick, appreciate you guys stepping up like that to help out each other. I've seen a lot of activity on the Q&A channel. I'd like to keep seeing that go on. It just makes it so that there's more voices being able to provide inputs. And as Tasha said before, sometimes a team member might actually have a better input than we do, right? So toss those out there when you have questions on the Q&A channel. It's also a lot more people to be able to help out, so it's not Tasha and I bottlenecking anything. And honestly, it allows us to focus when it's lower level questions too. Allows us to focus on going out to either integrate systems for you guys, get more business, mastermind with other team leads to come up with ideas, generate more business for the team, that type of stuff. So that's definitely appreciated. Seeing a lot of activity on there, and I like it. Cool. And again, there's a lot of buyers sitting on the sidelines right now with rates, right? So and we started our career, with a couple of sales, but also helping a decent number of military folks do rentals to start with. And that got our name out there, to where there was a lot of word of mouth referrals. So just keep putting in that work. It'll pay off.
Yeah. And the challenge has been just trying to come up with ideas, or kind of like organize some videos to put out, pretty much a little more marketing and stuff.
Okay. I would say if you need ideas, it's not necessarily all marketing stuff, but you can always go look at Tasha's YouTube channel and stuff she's done, or any of the team members, and then just watch a video and go make your own, right? So especially as you're starting out and you might get buyer clients, etc., you can go replicate some of the ones that she did for, like, what's earnest money deposit, what's this contingency, right? Obviously tailor it for your specific contract, because Florida, for contingencies is very different from California. But if you have that, those educational series are definitely a good place to point people to. Marketing, make sure obviously you're using all the team graphics. I don't care if it's Florida or California, right? Post the sales, use the we construct, look like an active agent, right? There's team volume going around. And just because it hasn't happened in the last week, for example, this is a lesson we had to learn, because we were limited in thinking of, hey, when we post these things, they need to be like sales in the last week, last 2 weeks, whatever, right? Like we just XYZ. No consumer is going out and looking at those things, and there is no time frame from a realtor standpoint of saying what a sale was for the team or what a recent sale qualifies as, right? There's no rules for that. So we limited ourselves. What I would say is don't limit yourself with that. Go out, download like what the team's done so far and whatever you haven't posted. And I would post at least once a week one of those transactions. And that goes for everyone on the team that's trying to get more active on marketing, more active on getting clients reach out to you. We have had team members reach out simply based upon either a Facebook post or an IG post or a Facebook story. There's been people that have gotten clients off of that either directly or through referral agents, right? And so use what the team's already doing as some of your marketing to show that you're on a productive team and that you can help the clients achieve their real estate goals. Does that help?
Okay, yeah, I'll definitely check that out.
Okay,
That's good.
cool.
Thank you.
Yep. All right, so I want to walk into, and this can be somewhat, with the training, it doesn't all have to be one way, right? Like I hate going to military trainings and stuff, or, you sit a CBT, it's obviously one way, but going to military trainings and you sit there and someone just talks at you from slides for 30 minutes and there's no comments and you're like, all right, what did I get out of that? Right. So this next section is meant to be, conversation back and forth as you guys have questions. But I want to walk through, sort of, obviously we've got our team values, right? And there's several out there, but the main ones I think we influenced everyone, when we had interviews with each of you, is collaboration, communication, transparency, and integrity, right? We also have on our signs, the new slogan that we have, that we put once we started making the generic team signs, is turning transactions into lifelong relationships. And so that's what I want to talk through today with you guys, answer any questions that you have on ways that you can hone that skill set, on what Tasha and I have done to build it out. Because it's very important in your business that you're not transactional, right? And what do I mean by that? The vast majority of realtors talk about they're going to create relationships, but the reality is at the end of the day, when the transaction's done, they move on, hair on fire with something else. They never get back to that client. They're done with that person, right? They're essentially dead to them. They're on to new money, right? And that's unfortunately just how this business goes on the hamster wheel. And if you do that, the issue is you can never get a snowball effect from your past clients and the impact that you made on them, their lives, on getting referrals from them, on getting repeat business from them, all that stuff. Your past client already chose to do business with you. Would you all agree, for a show of hands, if you agree with me, that someone that already chose to do business with you is easier to convince to do business with you again than a cold lead off the streets? You agree with that? Easier to get them to redo business with you? Cool. So with that, there's value there, obviously, in that relationship, right? And if you look at NAR stats, you'll see that most agents don't treat it that way, right? The NAR stat, I forgot the exact percentage, but the NAR stat is something like 86% of buyers were happy with the agents they used and said they would use them again when they were polled. And then when there's that similar stat, as they're doing their stuff year over year, only about 10 to 12% of those buyers actually use the agent again when they sell. That's a lot of missed business, right? Like if you helped them buy that house, the last transaction on that house, you've got the data on it, you've already got the relationship with the seller. You need to be able to capitalize on that, right? And so it's not just like a trendy slogan on a sign or anything else like that. It's something that we've incorporated into our business, and it's shown at stuff like the Halloween party that we did. So not all of you were there, but the Halloween party that we did, in Hawthorne in last October, when we look at it, we open it up to the whole team, right? For everyone to invite their clients. And I think out of the entire party that was there, there's 1 or 2 team members that had other folks there, right? And all the other people were past clients of ours, some of them 5, 6 years ago clients. And honestly, some of them we probably hadn't talked to for way too long, for about 15 months or so. Oh yeah, Tasha chimed in. Some of them we never met in person. We may not have ever seen them on Zoom. We may have had one phone call with them before we passed them off to, one of our agents to help, but they showed up, right? And we have some that are showing up to each event that we put out, and then, trying to get together and all that stuff. So the reason I say all that is those are clients that for us are most likely down the road going to turn into transactions again, because they did turn into relationships, right? So they feed each other when you do it right. It's a critical skill set, again, that based upon NAR statistics, most realtors don't learn. Obviously, we don't get trained how to run a real estate business going through licensing school, so you're not going to learn it there. And if you don't have if you're not on a great team, or you don't have good partners around you, like we all do at EXP, right, with all the partner resources that we have, most agents out there aren't getting this type of training. Again, it's one transaction to the next, paycheck to paycheck, just trying to get the next deal done. And it's very easy to lose that time and lose sight of keeping up with past clients. So critical things to try to build that relationship, right? The biggest thing is while you're in the transaction. So while you're in the transaction, I know some of y'all have done business with friends, right? Like you've helped friends. I know, Janetta, you just helped friends from overseas, right? Okay. And how was that experience for you? Was it a fun experience? Were you like super proud and rewarding for helping your friends buy a house?
Yes, they gave me an awesome review, but I
Okay.
feel like I just did my job. I would do that for any of my clients, whether they were a friend or not. I feel
Right.
like I would do that job just as good, friend or not.
Right. And I think that's the key. Right. So exactly what you just hit on. And some of it's in your communication with clients too, right? So it's picking up on the little items that they drop along the way in conversations. Hey, we've got a dog, XYZ. Okay, you take a note, they have a dog, right? So now when you're going around looking at houses, hey, does this work for you, your family, and your dog? Right? Dog, we all know like fur babies are people's babies, right? So you need to treat the pet as though it's family to that person, because it probably is, right? So the way that you communicate with them about that, or when they have kids, right? Like we've had clients we went out with that had kids that were probably 5 years old or so, trying to incorporate the kids, talking to the kids a little bit, asking them if they like the house as well, right? Allowing them to feel involved. When they show up, fist bump or a high five, right? Especially like the second, third time seeing them, helping the kid be more excited about the process, because it is a process buying a home. It's very stressful for folks. And so, Janetta, to your point, like you wouldn't treat your clients any different. That's great. I'm assuming you treated your friends amazing because they left you a great review and they were already your friends. So if you wouldn't treat your other clients any different, that tells me you're going to treat your other clients like friends, right? Cool. So that's really the key to this. And it's not, treating them like friends to the point where, you're so casual, you're going to drop an F-bomb or you're going to, use whatever slang or whatever else. Obviously, we still got to keep things professional, but treating them like friends in the sense of you care about them, right? You see what they like and dislike and try to cater what you're doing towards that, right? Because every client's different, every transaction is different. It could be as simple as like when you're going out on showings, bringing a couple water bottles, right? And having that in a little bag. And if they have a kid, having a coloring book or something with some crayons in there for their child to keep their child entertained as you're going around. One of the things that I do, which is really just boils down to, selling real estate and figuring out what your clients want, but definitely helps the clients feel more heard, is we tend to have a review on the house after every single house, right? What you like, what you dislike, when we're out showing. And then it would be, okay, based on what you said, where would you rate this house? 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. Cool. 6. Awesome. What would it take for this house in particular to be that 9 or 10 house, right? That you're going to jump for. And you start figuring out those truly non-negotiables for your clients. And then you start finding those appropriate houses for them. And sometimes it's helping eliminate some, Like if they told you, hey, this is an absolute deal breaker, we're not going to do XYZ, and you see a house pop up that they say, hey, I want to go see, it could be as simple as saying, hey, but you told me that, 2 bathrooms just was not going to cut it. You had to have minimum 2.5. This one only has 2. Do you want to rehab the property, or do you want to just spend that time, looking at a different property? Just those little things shows them that you care enough to remember about them, and they feel like you're giving them individualized, personalized attention, that they feel like it's a friend, right? They feel like it's a friend that's got their back. And what that turns into is it's going to turn into people that are your raving fans that go give you great reviews, right? Which is what we all want. Which, by the way, we're at 91 5-star reviews for the team now. So we pass over that 90 mark. We like to celebrate that every time we hit another 10 increment. So we're at that 91, gunning towards 100 here soon. I would like to get that review rate even higher, quite frankly, as far as the number of captured reviews. We've had about 250 transactions and a little less than 100 reviews, but I'll tell you, we do see some teams that have, 1,000 transactions and all of like 30 reviews. So it's definitely, a pretty good rate still. But those things are critical, right? Making the client feel as though you care, that you're giving them personalized, individualized attention, even if you have numerous other clients, right? Which most of us are working with more than one client at a time. I can't remember the most that we've ever done at once, but it was probably 20 plus between listings and buy side. But you still want to give them that attention, right? That's something to me, when Tasha and I got talking about it, that we've heard regularly from past clients of ours, many of which will like invite us to dinner at their house, or they want to go out and do something. It's getting to that level in the relationship where they still want to have something to do with you after the transaction's over, right? That's really the key, is creating that relationship, because that relationship, again, is then going to turn into referrals, reviews, and future business. So from that perspective, like, does anyone have any key tricks or tactics that you're using currently to try to create those lasting relationships that you think the team could benefit from? Trevor.
So I mean, kind of like you said, taking notes. So like, for example, Lindsay and John, clients gave me. So John is super into marathons and, loves working out. I'm actually going to reach out to him here soon, see if he wants to do a gym session. Cool. So just like finding little things that are their hobbies, and kind of, you don't have to necessarily make it your hobby, but it'd be cool to kind of like just do an activity with your client if you have, and yeah, sure, like not everybody has the time and whatnot, but it's, it's something as simple as that. Or instead of, meeting at like a coffee shop, meet at like a dinner or sushi, something that they like. Because now not only do you have like the ambiance of a really good restaurant, you get the tax benefit, and they're like, wow, like he actually knew that, he remembered that we like sushi, stuff like that. And you could kind of I kind of use the hobbies as like a play on opener when I see them next time. I'll be like I made a joke once. I was like, you look a little rough, man. You preparing for a marathon? He's like, yeah, dude, I just ran like 6 miles yesterday or whatever, blah, blah, blah. Something like that. And it just creates a good kind of like heartwarming connection. And it's like, yeah, he remembered. And I got a really good review from Lindsay and John on my Zillow. Yeah. I was really stoked about it. And, like I brought my friend over, not brought him over, the lease client that I just had, which was, a longtime friend. So now they're starting to realize that, I mean business, but I'm still a normal dude. I still like to hang out and, go visit and stuff. So they told their friends, and it's just like, that's the other half of that snowball that I'm starting to realize is like, as soon as they really like you, now they, your biggest fan, like you said, oh my gosh, you have to check out this guy. Oh my gosh, you have to go look him up. He's really cool. He can help you,
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely taking note of their hobbies, their dogs. We talk about our dogs all the time, obviously, since my fur baby is the face of the company. Right. And so, yeah, those little things definitely go a really long way. And I, even in the texts, I kind of like texts or emails, I kind of start dialing it down a little bit. you know, you start professional at the top and like, you know, you don't have to be overtly a professional, but, you know, I'll start incorporating like a little emojis here and there. When they start doing it, I kind of mirror them. So mirroring is like, it's like this psychological thing that if you start mirroring somebody, they start feeling more comfortable with you. I don't know if you've read, it's like there was an article and there's a book about it, that if you mirror somebody, they kind of feel a little bit more comfortable. So I kind of mirror like, okay, they're sending me emojis. I'll put up like a little smiley face here and there, you know, slowly get less professional, but more friendly. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was, I'm trying to remember back because I read a book on it. I think it's Tom Ferry's book, Mindset, Model, and Marketing. But yeah, definitely. So that the mirroring is, you know, a classic sales thing, obviously, but it makes people feel more comfortable. You know, I'll even go to the point where like when people send us emails, my salutation, whether it's hi, hello, or hey, is based upon which one they use when they send the email. Right. I personally don't care which one to use, right? I don't really have a preference, but whatever they're using, I'm going to use back because that's what they're comfortable with, obviously. So that definitely helps. And then the mirroring, you know, when you look at that as well, it's not just with other people, it's with agents too, right? Which is why we're all part of our big productive partnership group, is looking at what people are doing that's successful, R&D it, right? Rip off, duplicate, you're mirroring it, create it for yourself. So you can do that with a lot of stuff, again, on the team stuff too, right? So cool. Anyone else got any tips?
I think all of that is really good information. Just one of the things that I'm going to do with my client is we got the wineries up in Temecula. Maya and Adam, my clients that I helped get their home, and they moved from LA to Marietta, Winchester area. She's going to be in a single mom mode the next couple months because he's going overseas. And I have a really good friend of mine that lives in Temecula whose husband's deployed, and we do game nights, like ladies game nights. We get to go to her house. We bring our kids. The kids play. My girlfriend does Mary Kay, so we get to do a facial. And I invited Maya to that. And I said, I don't know what we're going to be doing. I don't know if it's going to be the winery or a game night at my friend's house. I know you're going to be having the kids here really soon. Our kids get along really well together because I actually had to take my kids with me one weekend to their house. It just happened. I had to take them. So she was really comfortable with it. So it's just reaching out and thinking, not only thinking of your client, but thinking of them as a friend, because you know, having your significant other gone for even a week can throw your whole life off. And I think he's going to be gone for like 6 weeks or 8 weeks. And I thought of that and I invited her, and she was like loving it. She's like, yes, I can't wait to meet some other people in the area and learn about these wineries and just getting out of the house and exploring with new people. So it's just thinking of them as well, if that's an opportunity.
Absolutely.
And what female doesn't like a facial?
Right.
Or males. I'm sure
Yeah.
males like facials too. Sorry, Pedro, you look like you were smirking over there.
All good.
Pedro wants to get his pedicure on.
You know what? I gotta say, I mean, it's every once in a while I'll join in. I mean, with when my wife is going out, it's like, hey, come on, you need one. You need a manicure, a pedicure. Why not?
Yeah, I've gone a couple times with Tasha for pedicures. There's nothing wrong with it. It makes your feet.
No, exactly. That's what I was smirking.
Yeah, we actually, funny quick side tangent. We actually sort of got a natural one when we went to Mexico. So walking down 3/4 mile on the beach and 3/4 mile back in sort of warm sand and on a slope and all that stuff, definitely smooths out the bottom of your feet. So it's a good experience. But yeah, so I mean, just different things, right? Like you can do, you know, to that point, you can do different activities with them. You can do the winery stuff, you know, and long-term, like as you build up your business, right? If you find that you're going to the wineries more, go get a wine membership there, right? And have one bottle shipped every 2 months or whatever, but then that gives you free tastings, right? Find the right one where you get free tastings with it. And now you can bring your clients there for free and just make it like an every other week thing to take clients out. So that works. I know we've done, for example, we use our send out card system. So we'll use that to drop brownies to folks or cookies. We'll either do that typically after they close, or sometimes we're doing that on the 1-year anniversary. So that's available. Doing cards on send out cards as well. And give me 1 second. I had a question, Tasha, as well.
I had to come in here. I have FOMO.
Yeah, so another good point that Tasha just brought up that keys off of what Janetta said and that I forgot to hit on. So for a good portion of our team, right, it's been military clients, and a good portion of our team is military, right? I think we're at like 80% of our team's military and 60% of our career clients have been military. So military is a little unique, right? In the sense that we're getting moved around all the time, away from family. You get moved to a new location. You may or may not have someone that you even know in the location, or it may just be you're showing up to meet your sponsor, who's this random person that got assigned to you that you've never met before and communicated twice via email. And that's like your sole connection when you get on the ground, right? And so especially as a heavy military agent team, like when you know your area, you've got friends there, you've got fellow military there, all that stuff, it definitely helps military families or non-military families for that matter that are relocating to a new area. It helps them feel more welcome and more comfortable when they get to know other folks, right? So if you have opportunities to introduce them to other people,
Like other clients.
yeah,
other-
absolutely go do that. Whether it's friends, other clients, just people you think would have, common interests. We've done that with friends and clients, and like they ended up going surfing together on a regular basis. We've done it with other clients. You have like a ski focus, or people want to go out and drink wine together, or like when we've moved people into the same community, right? Because like Brookside Village, we've sold 3 or 4 properties in there. Parkside, we've sold several. And so when we moved them into the same community, we're like, oh, by the way, as they're going through their contingencies, we help these other people buy in this community. Would you like to meet them? Right? Before you even move in, we're introducing you to 3 or 4 people that are going to be your neighbors in the community so that you know someone there, right? And we've had those people like become friends and have dinners together and all that type of stuff. So that type of approach definitely helps, because again, in general, right, this is not true for everyone, but in general, humans desire recognition and they desire being around other humans, right? And there's some degree of physical touch there too, right? Just in general, to feel comfortable as a human. Most people don't like isolation. And so what's happening when most people are moving and they're relocating, they're isolating themselves through the move, unfortunately, right? They're going to a new location. They may have no friends there, no family there, right? They may not know anything about the area. And as their realtor, typically, you're like their wealth of information about the area. That's what they're expecting. So it goes even further than like, hey, do you like this house? Do you not like this house? It gets into what communities do you like? And then it gets into like, hey, I remember the other day, like when we were out, for a showing, you mentioned that, you guys like Mexican. I know a great Mexican place like around the corner from this house that we're going to, if you want to go there after we're done with showings, right? Just like keying them in on different things that you would appreciate.
Different childcare, like childcare
Yep.
is huge.
Childcare is a huge one, for parents. Absolutely. It could be,
And letting them know, like, they could, that can be, like, you can be their resource even after
Right.
the closing. I think that's, a big
Yes.
mistake that we make is not communicating that to them.
right. Yeah. So our goal for us, at least the way that we've approached it, and I think has been helpful to get, more people coming back than our average for sure, is we make sure that they know, like, as we're going through the closing process, we make sure that they know, hey, like, we're closing on the house. This doesn't mean we're closing on this relationship, right? Like, we're still here. You got questions afterwards. If it's on the house, great. We'll connect you with vendors. If it's on the typical one, the supplemental tax bill that comes in California, even though we tell everyone about it while they're going through the transaction, Tasha has a video on it. Everyone still has questions on it. but we tell them to reach out to us if they get it and they have questions. Because we also remind them, hey, just looking out for you after the transaction, like there are scammers out there. So if this thing shows up in the mail, don't necessarily just go pay it, like make sure it's legit, go to the website, call us, do whatever, so that you make sure to protect your money. And we've had probably at least 50% of our clients after the transaction, 6 months later, reach out or send us a photo of the supplemental tax bill that showed up in the mail. And they're like, is this legit? Can you advise me on this? Right. So we're still there as that resource. And then, the event. So again, when we put together events and we're trying to get into a rhythm at some point, obviously with us going from coast to coast, but we do want to get into a rhythm where we're at least doing 2 a year, if not more, but we'd like to get 2 client events per year that we do. And obviously getting your clients there is going to be key, right? Because as we've started giving all our clients to the team agents, if you guys aren't inviting them and you guys are the ones that have the last contact with them, then eventually all that dies out. No one shows up. We don't get referrals or any more repeat business from them. Now we all have to go get all new business. And I don't think that's what any of us want. So for the Southern California folks, that's what we're looking at, is the other teams get bigger, right? So like Pedro, I think we might be getting to 2 out in your area. We'll see how that goes. And I know Missouri is growing and we're still looking at getting, Denver to grow. But as we get a little bit bigger in the different areas, we will probably look at trying to help you put on an event in your area, even if we're not there. Obviously, once you have a significant enough client base where that makes sense, right? If you're only sitting at 2 or 3 past clients, it probably doesn't make sense to put an event. It makes more sense to do like individual one-on-one stuff. Because quite frankly, that's more impactful for most of them anyways, is getting your time one-on-one. The only reason that you flip to events is because you have too many people, you can't get to them all one-on-one, and it's better than not getting to them at all, right? But other than that, like taking someone out for lunch is, I would think, more impactful than even like our Halloween party when we have a bunch of people showing up. But Tasha and I probably only got 5 to 10 minutes with each person, maybe, if we were lucky. So, but we are looking at all those. But again, it relies on you guys inviting folks as well. So once we get the next one figured out, we'll let you guys know with, enough advance warning where you can invite your past clients. But that's really the big push that I wanted to talk through is, again, with that being like the team slogan on the sign, that Tasha and I realized, I think that's the way we've conducted our business and built our business, but we haven't really had a good concentrated half an hour at least talk and mastermind about it and sort of best practices.
Well,
So
also talk about how you tell clients not to buy something. Remember what the container.
yeah, so we just had dinner with friends that were clients. They came to us. We had no clue who they were when they first came to us. And when I say turning clients into, lifelong relationships, like these clients came to us, they had a bad experience trying to work with a family realtor. That didn't work out, so they flipped over to us, and we got them a triplex, super happy. But during part of that process, like we actually warned them away from a couple properties. And when we just had dinner with them recently, they're like, that was key for us in knowing like you guys truly cared about us, right? Like you told us not to buy properties. They're like, what realtor tells their client that they're only making money off of to not buy a property? So that's, giving your honest opinion. And again, not having commission breath, like having your client's best interest at heart is huge. That's led to them referring multiple clients to us. They traveled to Hawaii with us because they've become friends, and we were at their wedding, right? So like when we say turning, transactions into lifelong relationships, like that's not everyone's going to be that. Obviously, you're not going to resonate on that level with everyone, and we don't either, right? There's some clients that we're like friendly with afterwards, and there's some clients that we become very close friends with. Because there's some people you just can't get through the barrier with, or you're just not their people, and that's okay, right? But having clients that you can turn that relationship that way is key to like building this business long-term, right? Because eventually, if you're in this business 5 or 10 years down the road, you got to start thinking about like how you want that business to look. And ideally, it's not all cold calling. It's not all cold leads every single day. It's not all just people that we give you, right? Like it's people that are coming back to you guys because you did such a great job. They like you so much, and they know who they're using when the next time comes around. So We got 9 minutes left on this. I want to open it up to you guys, and any questions you got, field those and see how I can help.
Or
Yeah,
invites.
any inputs you have as well.
So I am trying to find some land for my sister. She's actually interested in buying some land down here in Southern California, and I'm struggling to use the CRMLS to narrow down my search. I was just going to go out and find something on EXP or something that's an MLS like tutorial or something. But if anybody has a good one that they want to recommend and shoot it my way, that'd be great.
Cool. Anything on anything from you guys, any questions, any inputs on like the process of creating those relationships? On trying
No
to
questions, but
yeah,
but
go
I,
ahead.
yeah, no questions, and I don't have enough clients here to really to have like you said those events right now. But I do kind of do like individual meetings with them still here and there. So I have one, actually my first client, Imad, he comes out here to his place at least once every 2-3 months, and every time he's out here, he always, hey, Pedro, I'm in town. Well, cool. You want to grab a bite? You want to grab a beer? Whatever. So that's something there. We kind of keep that going.
Awesome.
I also have a buyer here, actually, just that I was able to get. He lives a few blocks over. Occasionally, we meet up there at B-Dubs here in town. So I mean, that's just something. But obviously, I could definitely see kind of going forward if once it starts building up a little bit more, it would make more sense to have those events like that.
Cool. Yeah, and the other thing I'll say too is, for everyone, don't be shy about asking for referrals. Again, the general public, for the most part, doesn't understand how this business works when you're not. First of all, let me say it this way. A lot of people don't understand how we get compensated to begin with. They've started to better understand that now with Zillow and it showing buyer's agent compensation and all that type of stuff, right? But outside of that, like, most people are not going to come to you asking for a referral in another state because they think they're bothering you. When the reality is the exact opposite, right? Like, they're helping you grow your business by establishing another referral agent partnership, by getting a referral commission, but the public doesn't know that. And NAR doesn't educate anyone on that stuff, right? So don't be shy to ask for those referrals, because again, a lot of them think that, well, maybe they're too busy, they've got too much work already, I don't want to bug them, especially if it's out of state. Make sure they understand that's actually what you're looking for. Like, that's the best compliment they can pay to you. Like, 5-star review is great, but literally the best compliment they can pay to you is referring family, friend, or someone they care about to you.
During that
Right.
transaction or the-
Right. And you don't just have to ask for it when the transaction's over, right? Like, when you've killed it for them on negotiations and got them a house that they didn't think they were going to get, ask for business. Who else do you know that could use services like this, helping them buy or sell real estate? Who else do you know that would appreciate this experience, right? Like, play in and key in on those emotions. Because again, it's not a transaction, right? Really, it's an experience for folks. For most people, this is one of their most stressful things they'll do in their life. Our goal is minimizing that stress, and that's part of how you turn this into relationships.
I mean, some realtors even ask for the referral after the listing agreement is signed.
Yep.
They're like, okay, great. Who else do you know that I can help sell their house?
Right.
So
it's just,
I would say too, to touch on kind of, something that wasn't mentioned is, really delving into like what their long-term goals are. Like, if you have a military family moving, especially, they're going to be there maybe 4 years sometimes at the most. And just seeing like, hey, are you guys, planning on being here long-term? Do you plan on renting it out when you leave? Do you want to sell it when you leave? And it's not, you're not asking these questions for your benefit. You're asking to see what their long-term goals are. I mean, some people are like, I haven't thought that far ahead yet. And so that's fine. But just knowing like, we're moving out to, Florida, but ultimately I see us coming back to California. And so, this property is just to, kind of get us over the hump. And so knowing what those long-term goals are, like maybe they want you, maybe this is their first property, maybe this is their first multifamily, to help them build up their portfolio eventually. like knowing what their long-term goals are and seeing how you can help them get there is also going to show them that you care more about just this transaction, that you're thinking long-term, and, you know, letting them know, like, you know, I'm not just in this to make a commission. You know, I'm here to help you. If this, I'm going to tell you if something is not to your benefit. If you're buying a home or if you want to place an offer on a home and I don't think it's good for you, I'm going to tell you not to buy that. There were homes on a really busy street, and it was sandwiched in between a busy road and a highway. And everybody that was interested in it, I said, run, do not buy this property. It's gonna take forever to sell it whenever you go to leave, and you can't really afford to do that, not in the money wise, but in time wise. Like most people that we help are military, so they don't have that kind of time to have a property sit on the market for 100+ days. And, you know, so you're looking out for their best interest long term, and kind of speaking as if that relationship is going to exist for years while you're, you know, in the first phases of getting to know them. You know, you would be surprised what what that relationship would be, even if it is like a 90-day relationship from the time that you acquire them to the time that you help them buy or sell. That you can create very close relationships in that little bit of time if you're looking out for ultimately their best interests and what they want to do with their life.
Yeah. And to key in on that again, like the relationship with the realtor is interesting, right? It can actually be, from a information perspective, a very intimate relationship with your clients. So we've found out sometimes before the majority of people's family or friends, when someone's going to propose, when they're getting married, the fact that they're pregnant, and they haven't told any of their family yet, but they're telling their realtor, because it factors into the fact that they need an extra bedroom, right? And that's either why they're selling or why they need a certain size house and why it's non-negotiable.
If
So
you're digging deep enough into their goals, you're finding out those things. I mean, you're not asking them, are you pregnant? But, you know, just delving into their needs of, like, you know, so, you know, you have a 3-bedroom now. Do you have to have a 4th bedroom? Like, yes, we have to have a 4th bedroom because we have a baby on the way.
Yeah.
We haven't told any of our family yet, but we have a baby on the way.
Yeah.
Not us. We do not have a baby on the way.
Anything else you can think of?
No.
Okay.
Sorry, I have FOMO. I couldn't just let you do this training. I had too much.
Tasha, have to
FOMO.
chime in. We were talking about some of this stuff for probably a good hour on our way from LA to wineries in the Central Coast when we're out there for this last trip. So just talking about how this was created and just stuff that we want to chat with you guys about to help you and, you know, do the same thing in your business. So wrapping it up, I mean, anyone have any other inputs, questions on this topic, ideas? All good? Thumbs up? Cool. So we can always revisit this, obviously, if you're looking to implement stuff as far as, you know, getting closer relationship with your clients, getting it into repeat business. Again, we've been doing it, you know, we've been at this for a while now, implementing it that way. Our goal long-term is being pretty heavy on referrals as well and repeat business. Already we get a lot of agent referrals, then it's, you know, past client referrals, all that type of stuff. So, you know, feel free to ask, toss it in the agent Q&A channel as well on Slack, right? That's another good place, like I said, to put it, to get, you know, inputs from other team members. Keep using that, the resources that you have. And then I'll say, if you want to really focus on this aspect, like referrals and the relationships, there are definitely some good trainings out there between EXP World, just the trainings, and the EXP University, where they have the recorded trainings. There are agents that speak at like EXPCon and stuff. I can't remember the lady's name, but she was one of them that spoke, and something like 95% of her business is referral. It's like business by referral only. And she's built up the business within, I think it's
With
12
both agents
years.
and past clients.
Yeah, but she's built up the business within like 12 years, I think, where it's pretty much nothing cold, right? It's all just referrals coming in. So
I think one thing that we didn't hit on is, you know, we're talking about creating the relationships, but then there's also the follow-ups afterwards. You know, if you're, you know, once you close, you're not just poof gone, right? you're following up with them, like, hey, you know, did you guys get in your house okay? Or your utility set up?
How are you settling in? Just,
Are you settling in? Like, how are things going? Did you get so and so into school? Like, are you enjoying the school? Like, you know,
Yeah.
just all of those sort of things.
even
after
just
closing.
asking them how they're enjoying the house. A very simple question, right? But most people don't do it. What you
I
got?
put in follow-up boss 30 days, a 30-day follow-up after the close of escrow, and then I'm implementing 60 to 90-day follow-ups afterwards.
Ooh, I have a lot
Yep.
of ideas.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I have a Gwilt Group post-close drip as well, for those of you
Yeah.
who need that.
so there's drips. You can always set the action plans within FUB. I mean, again, FUB is fantastic. That's where you should be operating your business out of, because it's going to allow you to do that after the transaction and then remind you 30 days later. Because if I had to guess, Janetta, like if you try to just remember 30 days, I know for myself, like I'm pretty detail oriented, but if I just in my brain went 30 days after closing, I need to reach out to this person, I'm reaching out to them maybe at day 20, maybe at day 60.
Yeah, no, I put it in
Right.
follow-up boss immediately.
Yep.
I didn't know there was a post-closing thing. I just learned something new, so I'm gonna apply that today.
Yep,
Okay.
there's a post-close follow-up plan. One thing that I like that I think John Francis isn't on here anymore.
He
right?
was, yeah, he dropped.
But he recommended that, of course, you want to have other follow-ups, but one thing that he recommended was that I created a note that automatically reminds you 2 weeks before to contact them about you know, sending them a thank you card, contacting them about their home value, and one other thing, 2 weeks before their anniversary date comes up for closing on their house.
Yep.
And so I like that because it's, you know, those of you who've closed, you should be getting those emails you know, from follow-up boss saying, hey, you know, note created to send so and so these things. So, oh, and call them. I think that was the other thing.
No.
But hey, like even if you text them, like there's been plenty of clients in my database from past sales, because, you know, like David said, you're not going to get every single one of them. And there have been some that I hadn't even texted. And so I was just like, oh shoot, like I need to go back and text this person. And so any kind of touch that you can do after the closing, it is better than probably what, you know, most realtors are doing anyways, because
Yeah.
we're very transactional. Once we got that closed, we're on to the next. And I think that is one of the biggest mistakes that we all make as realtors.
Yep. All right. You want me to announce about next week?
Yeah. Yep.
All right. So for those that are on next week, no training. So no team meeting. No team meeting or training. July 4th, you know, weekend, and then this falls on the day after. So enjoy your holiday weekend, enjoy travels if you're doing that. Enjoy the little bit of time off from the team meeting, and then we'll reconvene the following week. As always, you guys know how to reach out to us if you need help, and just keep going out there and killing it. I'm very proud of, you know, everyone on the team, the work that you guys are putting in. It's going to pay off, you know. Just keep putting in the work regardless of results. One of the key things that we heard is you have to detach yourself from the outcome, right? You have to know that putting in the work is going to end up in the results that you want based on the metrics that you have, and just keep doing that work until you get the outcome that you want. So with that, enjoy your afternoon, evening, or early afternoon, depending upon where you are, Pedro, since you're our earliest guy at this point. But enjoy your day, and see you guys soon.
Hey, I have a quick question.